Mr. Stefanik, 7 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Mr. Secretary, for voluntarily being here today and for your service to our country. My line of questioning will focus on the January 6th Intelligence Community Assessment. According to the unclassified assessment released on January 6th, quote, DHS assesses that the types of systems we observed Russian actors targeting or compromising are not involved in vote tallying. Can you outline what are the key factors that allowed DHS to make this assessment that we successfully protected the integrity of our vote tallying system?
It was the result of spending a lot of time examining state by state what the practices are and were, and that assertion was based upon our best available intel that we had at the time.
Can you speak a bit more about the process of evaluating state by state? That I assume that began after the election. How long did that take?
Well, after and before.
After and before.
And when I got into this myself in the summer of 2016, I was pleased to see that a lot of that analysis had already been done within DHS and in the interagency, so it didn't begin post-election. And one of the takeaways was that the voter registration databases are vulnerable because they can be infiltrated online, but the way the tallying and voting and reporting of voting process works, it is largely offline and it is redundant in many ways. So if one avenue fails, there's another avenue, but that some of it does exist over the internet by way of absentee ballots, absentee voting, and the like. And so that was the basis for that statement at the time.
Thank you.
And based on what the absence of anything to suggest that the tallying had been compromised.
Thank you for that clarification. Other than providing an assessment regarding vote tallying systems, what was DHS's role in any, if any, in preparing the intelligence community assessment?
There were a number of recommendations that we made that I believe are in a non-public document. And in terms of the actual intelligence assessment, I believe we had a role in what you just stated. We had a role in making that assessment. But for the most part, what the Russians were doing, sources and methods, was the role of the intelligence community, CIA, et cetera.
Was there a reason why DHS's role was so limited?
I wouldn't characterize it as limited. You know, going back to October, the statement that was issued in October was a joint statement of DNI and DHS, and our people were very definitely involved in the report that was issued on January 6th, as well as some of the documentation for the actions we took on December 29th.
Let me ask you about the October 2016 joint statement you just referenced. The quote that was included in that statement, it says you were, quote, not in a position to attribute scanning and probing of state election-related systems to the Russian government. And yet in the January...
I wrote that sentence.
You did?
Yes.
Well, you're the correct person to ask then, because according to the January 2017 assessment, the quote was Russian intelligence accessed elements of multiple state or local electoral boards. What new information enabled attribution of this activity?
Couldn't say in this session.
We'll follow up with you in closed session.
But it is a documented, there's a documented answer to that will be reflected in intelligence reports, I'm sure. But the statement that I made on October 7th was accurate at the time based on the state of awareness at the time.
We will follow up in a classified setting. Thank you very much for the answers. I yield back.
Gentlelady is back. Ms. Castro,